Welcome back. Welcome back. My name is Janville, and today I want to talk with you about you. Although I'm going to share how my journey kind of unfolded and why I'm here with you and who I am. But I want to remind you of who you are and the significance of your impact in this world. See, I didn't know exactly who I was for a very long time in my life. And so today we're going to start with you. You. This is where we all begin, right here. You. We're born into a family. Next, family. We have to eat food. We have to move our bodies. We have to put on clothes every day. Oh, and we know we got to earn that money and spend it, invest it, all of those things. We know about those finances, right? And we cannot forget fun. That is essential for the soul. These 6 pillars of life is what I call the F-bombs. You see, growing up in the church, my dad was a minister, the baby of 3 daughters, 3 girls. I actually had a fun life. Like, we traveled, we did all of the middle class things on paper. But there was a piece of me that was always missing, and it was starting here was you. I knew the voice of God, I knew my parents' voice, but I didn't feel like I had any choice in the life that I was given. I didn't feel like I had any choice. So the clothes that I put on my body, you know, even the food I was consuming, I wasn't conscious about it. We ate good. My parents, my dad in particular, can really cook. Best cook I know came from my family. Food was in abundance. You know, finances were basic, you know, middle class. You had a house, 2-car garage. We traveled and did those things. You know, family in abundance. Again, we did family reunions, all of those things. But it was in my 20s that I realized that I was unhappy, that I needed clarity, I needed some direction, and I needed more purpose in my life. Even though I was a school teacher for many years, even having, again, this quote-unquote external sense of happiness, I was really unhappy in the sense of my purpose. And when I realized I lacked discipline, I lacked clarity, and I lacked fulfillment from things that were within. I was not using the tools that God gave me upon birth to live a life. I was using the external relationships, the external thoughts, the external habits and patterns, and the things that were given to me. But I believe all of us have a purpose, and we have, you know, it is our own responsibility to take control of our life. I'll use that word because responsibility is what I had to teach myself. I believe it is imperative that we all come to a point in our life. For me, it was my 20s, and that's why I'm here with you, because I think that starting as early as we can it doesn't make life easier, but we become more mature and we have more skills. So the reason why I talk about F-bombs, the pillars of life, because all of these things we must do every day. And I wanted to do them with some style and grace, but the piece that I was missing was the grit. And I learned that through my personal development journey, and that's what I want to talk about today. You are the center of your world, the core of you. Values and belief systems, all of those principles and practices and things that we do in our childhood, they are a foundation. But there comes a point in our life where we have to choose the ecosystem that we want to create. You know, we have to choose the universe that we truly want to live in from within. And that is what I want to share. So let's start with family. I like to say individuate and appreciate. Let's get another color here. Individuate and appreciate. And I hope y'all can see this. Individuate. Appreciate. It's funny, I had a gentleman recently ask me, he said, and he's much older, he said, is that a word, individuate? And it is a word, you know. This word, I would say, I learned to appreciate my family early. Most of us know how to appreciate our family, and I don't know your story. Maybe you don't appreciate your family. Maybe you had some unfortunate situations that you were born into. Maybe adoption. Maybe you don't know your parents. I work with some young women whose parents passed early, So we have those voids that we may see, but the truth is our journey is so unique, and everything that happened in your life truly happens for a reason. The parents that God may have removed from your life upon birth will be replaced by mentors, by people, family members that you can glean wisdom from. So I truly believe that. But to the point of family, whoever that is in your life, we appreciate them typically just by experiencing them. We know how to love, the family that prays together stays together, family first, all of those things we know. But it was the individuation for me that I struggled with. I did not know my own voice. As I said, I really wanted to please my parents. I grew up in a very authoritative household. So my life was really laid out for me. We were told early everything that we should be doing. We were told how to dress, what to wear. And all of these things were like given to me from my family. So again, the daughter of 3 girls, honestly, in my friendship circle, I was the only friend that had the father in the home. So I just knew my family was the it, and it wasn't a flex or a flaw. People came to my house. My dad was a father figure in some ways and aspects because of his personality. But what I had to discover in my 20s is the truth of what the type of leadership that I admired. Appreciating my father, my mom for the parents that they were, but what kind of family dynamic did I want to establish? How did I want to raise my children? And most importantly, being honest about how I was raised. There were some things that I had to just come face to face with, not only so much about people, but about myself. Like these patterns and behaviors that came kind of infused, as you would say, these things are in there, they're intertwined. These are the intricate details of who we are that we don't really realize until we take a hardcore look at our family. And I think that is so essential, so important. And until we can do that, I just don't believe that we can fully be the adult that we're supposed to be. And I think that's just essential. And again, these things, I share them with you because I wasn't taught these things. I had to kind of discover them on my own through my personal development journey. And when I say personal development in my 20s, I happened upon Success Magazine, which is entrepreneurs. And I was a teacher at the time, entrepreneurs just reading, people sharing their life stories, their struggle. And what I realized is like, Jeanville, it's time to take accountability for your life. And while family is not where mine started, it really started with fitness for me. But I'm just sharing all of the F-bombs. But family was the hardest space for me because, again, I did grow up in a loving household, so to speak. But I had to realize and redefine love, versus control and expectations that are placed on us. One of my favorite things about parenting that Sadhguru said, he said, I teach my kids not to look up or down on no one, just look. And I love that quote. And I know that really changed how I saw things, how I see people. Although I'm a very, hey, when I meet people, I trust that they're who they are. I mean, that's the goal. We're who we are, right? But, individuating is being rooted and grounded in who you are so that when you're in the presence of other people, you allow them to be themselves and then you're yourself. And then we can make decisions on how we choose to interact, communicate, the communities we join. So I just want to share that little piece on family. There's a lot to that. Of course, friendships, relationships, marriage. But today I just want to share with you the F-bombs and how, this circle to me is important. You are the core. These are the areas. And if you can think of something outside of this, understood. I personally didn't know anything that was outside of these things that have to be. Now, do we have other aspects of our life? Of course we do. But I believe God made us intentionally to have to eat food. We have to move our bodies. I believe, the presence of what fun, and we'll talk about that, but spending money, earning it, and then putting on clothes. And again, the goal is to do this all with style, grace, and I believe I love that. But the thing I was missing was grit. And grit is the responsibility. It is the personal development part, okay? So, next let's look at food and fitness. I'm gonna kind of bring those together because for me, in my 20s is when I decided to make a decision around food and fitness. I've always I grew up in a family, food was always in abundance. We cooked, my dad cooked, my grandmother was one of the best cooks. Our family house was where people come and eat. But I ate everything from chitlins to pig feet. I'm a Southern girl, so I ate everything. There was nothing really off limits for me. I liked pretty much everything. Food was in abundance in the context of we grew up and we ate. We just ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There was no concept around fasting unless it was a church fast. There was no concept or any conversation around consumption. The only time we fast, which was very intentional, I saw my dad do 40-day fasts, but it was always around religion. It was always around do this to get something. And so in my 20s, I really just started looking at food differently. Like, this is the fuel for my body. So food became the fuel for my body. So food, it's the fuel. And I say fuel premium only. Now I say this because, again, these are just how I look at these F-bombs, all 6 of these spaces. Fuel premium only. Now, does that mean everything I eat is clean? No, but that means that I'm very conscious of what I put in my body. Most, the 90% of the things I eat Monday through Friday is clean. When I first started this journey, most of everything I was eating was whole foods. There's one of my, dear friends, I love her, she talks about God's food. If it's not fresh, if it's processed, it's not God's food. But we truly think about farming and animals and hunting and killing. I'm not getting into vegetarian diets. All of that's personal. But when we think about meat, the things that are fresh, there's a natural food. So when we eat, the goal is premium, okay? And I understand people have different diets. So just I would say be conscious about what you eat. Your body is a temple. We know that. And the energy that we get every day. Because for you, I work with young women, and oftentimes they talk about they're tired or they don't feel like this or that. And I remember I would just, eat McDonald's. This food does not give you sustainable energy. You will eat it. You can eat a whole meal and be tired or be hungry the next 2-3 hours because the nutrients aren't there. It's not nutrient dense foods. And we know, and this is not going to be a nutrition lesson, but we know what vitamins and minerals do. We take a lot of supplements. As we get older, our body doesn't produce, and we have some deficiencies. But if we are eating food in abundance, meaning that in the nutritional, getting the value of it, we'll get the minerals and vitamins and things that we need. And this, I would say, really, you don't have to break this and make it too complicated in your 20s, but really just be conscious about your food, no matter what decade you're in. If you're here, food is essential. Start thinking about your body as a temple, and what you put in, you will get out, okay? Fitness, this is where my journey began. I call it, fitness, my body, my temple. This is, again, where my journey began. And this is probably just so dear to me because when I was in my 20s and I looked in the mirror, I never had an issue with, honestly, how I always been into fashion. So putting on clothes was always just like, and I was the baby of 3 girls, my mom, girly girl, we just put on clothes, like this is what we do. But when I really started looking in the mirror, I had gained freshman 15, so I had 15 pounds. I was probably like 120, 135 throughout high school. Freshman 15, in college, and then mid 20s, I had put on 30 more pounds. So I was almost 200 pounds in my 20s. And I remember looking in the mirror. I love the clothes I had on. They're thick. And I was like, no. I redefined this is not thick. This is sick. And I was honest with myself. And I've shared this journey, but I have my paternal grandparents, the ones that I talk about food. My grandmother's smorgasbords could cook. I honor them because they have left this earth at the age of 54 and 56. I honor them by taking care of my body and eating healthier because my grandparents both died of obesity, and they were overweight, like obese. And so for me, this is deeper. I have a lot of stories around all of these things, but again, I just want to share the essentials. Like, our body is our temple. That is a big piece, a major thing. Not only did I look in the mirror in my 20s, I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like how I felt. I remembered the truth about my family history, and that I didn't want to repeat that cycle. All right? So, fitness, move your body. They go hand in hand. No, you cannot outwork a bad diet. You have to eat healthy. But for me, it started with fitness because I'm high energy and I'm like, okay, get in the gym. But I started drinking waters, getting rid of the whites, the sugar, the bread, the pasta, all of these things. And then fitness, I just started moving my body. Went to Zumba, P90X was in. I did a couple of home workouts, but I'm not a home workout person. That discipline piece, I prefer getting in environments, getting in that gym, that crowd. I wouldn't say crowd because I go in there by myself, but it's the ambiance, it's the energy. You're in a new environment. It's workout. That's what they're doing. So we're all focused on the same things, and it inspires me. So I prefer the gym. Find what works for you, but you gotta move your body. It is so many things I could say around fitness. Again, another piece of this journey for me is I just remember as a young person, I would look at older women and inspired by many, but a lot of them I'm like, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be complaining in my 40s, 50s, 60s about how I look and say I used to be there. Look at you and be in your 20s. You know, when I meet young women, I'm inspired and I compliment them. But I don't want to look at a young woman, but I used to look like you. I didn't want to have that story. I'm just being honest. I didn't want to have that story. I didn't want to meet young women, comparing myself to them. And that's just, again, I grew up in a small town. So these are the kind of things that were said to me when I would meet women. And I just was like, I don't want to be that. And it could be family members, but I just didn't want to be that. So there's so many things around food and fitness that went together. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look good. That is not vain. That's called confidence that God gave you, your birthright. You want to look good. God gave you a body. God gave you a brain. God gave you everything that you have. And the key is to take care of it, okay? We honor God by doing, to me, these things. I had to realize I had to get off my knees onto my feet and honor God in a healthy way. It was not always, and that's a part of my story too. Like, I was praying, I was doing all of these things externally, but internally there was a void within me because I understood the truth about what was really going on inside of me. I couldn't hide from myself at night when I had to go to sleep. You can't hide from the truth of the things that's going to set you free. And when I say the truth that sets you free, for me, it's about it opens up your mind. It expands your mind to creativity, the abundance that really awaits who we are, because God created us to create. Creation is a part of who we are, meaning we create the routine. We create the things that we need to do today to get to tomorrow. Creation is just ideas, it's innovation, it's very personalized. So I'm sorry, you know, I have to bring me back a little bit because I get excited and I'm passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm grateful that you're here with me. So let's get to the next one. So these three right here, family, food, fitness. Let's go to fashion. Fashion was my first love. Fitness was the most challenging for me starting out, but this was my first love. And so for fashion, I say appreciate your body and choose appropriate clothing. I think this is, and I'm speaking to my ladies here. Like, ladies, we love some fashion. Appreciate your body and choose appropriate clothing. Again, fashion was my first love. Elementary through college, straight fashion show. I showed up, I'm gonna be, I wasn't in competition. I love to see other ladies who would put on clothes, because very rarely, you know, sweatpants, t-shirts, never been that type of girl, just not me. I had principles around how I like to present myself, and it was from my childhood because we grew up, you know, in the church, like we wore dresses and skirts, and if I went to church today, I'm gonna wear dresses and skirts. That's just me. I'm not gonna wear pants to church, and it's not because I feel like I'm bad or gonna sin. It's just the principles around. I have principles around things that I do. And fashion is another one. You know, workout clothes to me are workout clothes. They belong in the gym. When I was a professional in the classroom, these students are looking up to me, so I dressed above. I shouldn't, to me, jeans. I rarely wore jeans on Friday. I didn't really want to wear jeans on Friday. The kids had on jeans. I needed to look, to me, like a teacher, a professional, and there's a look around that. So you may see me some jeans and t-shirts here. This is different, but, you know, the point is, fashion is how we present ourselves to this world. And I think it is essential, especially in this day and time. These things are not talked about as much. So for me, I'm all about sustainable, timeless, you know, in every area of my life. No matter the era, I want my children to have principles and things that are going to be tried and true, no matter who they meet or whatever they're doing, whether they're around, you know, somebody in their 20s or someone in their 80s. We should be presentable. And I'm not talking only fashion, but in every way about ourselves around every generation. I do believe that. And I believe these things have to be taught. And experience. It can come from someone teaching us, or our own life experience and gaining the wisdom. So fashion is beyond the outfit of the day. Fashion is beyond, you know, the flex. It is beyond that. It is truly there are some things I'm just not going to wear. I wouldn't wear and I still don't, bodysuits. I know my size, my proportion. I'm not a straight. If I'm straight, more straight up and down, I feel like the spandex and stuff, that's what that's for. More curvy. Understand, there's certain things I believe if you appreciate your body, choosing appropriate clothing goes hand in hand. So I don't want to dwell on this. It's not about body shame, but it's the truth of love. I believe in truth. I do. And when I work with young women, we're honest about these things. I've, you know, shared with young women, like, hey, this is what you could probably wear to an interview. You know, you're on a Zoom meeting interview, still put on a blouse. Don't just wear a t-shirt, even though, you know, we're more casual these days. In one context, I don't say it's more casual. I think we're just in a new era. Just because we're in a new era, we don't water down our principles. We may change some things and shift some practices, but the principles should be there. set yourself some standards how you present yourself around fashion. So that is an F-bomb. That is one of my favorites, you know, because I think fashion goes beyond looking fly. I just truly believe that. All right, let's go to money. You know, we call this financial freedom. Financial freedom. Now, my experience with money was not about freedom. It was control. It was debt. It was no education around financial freedom. Now, most of these things, my background, I was a family consumer sciences teacher, so home ec. So I taught these things, and it was funny, in my 20s, I'm teaching personal finance, and I was learning the concepts, but I was not implementing them because I didn't have the money in the bank. I really wasn't saving. And so in my 20s, while I was being a teacher, teaching really helped me like raise the bar, the level of who I was, because I had students looking up to me, and I wanted to be who I said I was. Like, I really wanted to be, to me, teachers is a place of authority. It's a place of not control, but a place to inspire. And if I'm inspiring someone through what I say, I personally want to live that as much as possible. Not in a perfect way, but in progression. So I say this like that role, personal finance, helped me get a lot of information around that. But one thing I noticed and learned about myself is my mindset around money has always been an abundant, from a giving space. I've always kind of been a giver, like, might give my last, and not give my last and I'm going to be somewhere broke, but give my last like to help other people. I believe that's a piece. But to financial freedom, you know, the mindset, I believe wealth begins in the mind, and the bank account will add up. You know, as a school teacher, I didn't make money for years, and still didn't until I left. And you know, the most money I've ever made in my life is actually after I left the classroom. But that was my passion, and that was my purpose. And I'm very grateful for that, and I wouldn't change it. You know, should they pay school teachers more? Yes, but stay true to who you are. I believe money is a byproduct of becoming the best version of who you are, because we're not born broke. And you know, growing up middle class, I really realized the truth about middle class. That is a paycheck away from broke. I knew how to borrow money. I knew how to call the bank and get loans. My first furniture set was on my best friend's credit card. I paid it back, but she had to ask me to pay it off, because I just thought, pay the minimum down every month. So, you know, my experience with money was always like, do the right thing, try to pay people back on time, pay your rent on time, pay your car note on time. But that's just going to keep us in a state of brokenness, meaning we'll never be able to get ahead and have the wealth that we truly want. It's beyond cars and clothes and shoes. It's beyond that. But it is the freedom to spend time with our children, the freedom to take the vacation, the freedom to go take a walk if we want to, the freedom to do whatever we want. That's what, to me, financial freedom is. The freedom to do what you want, how you want, when you want. And we only get there by cultivating habits and practices that align with abundance. So yeah, financial freedom, finance. All right, fun. Have plenty of it. So have plenty of fun. This is something, I did a video on this and it got a lot of views. It was funny because I understand, like, I believe in the truth. Like, when I was a teacher, honey, they had, we get that personal time off day. Every month I'm taking that mental, because when I showed up to those babies every day, you know, I gave my all. So if I'm the type of person I don't put a lot of things on my plate. That's why these things are so important to me. It's like, God, what are the things I have to do? Because I'm not a bubblegum person. Like, if I do something, my grandma said, don't do nothing half-ass. If I do something, I'm putting my whole ass in it. I mean, I'm going to give it my all. I really care about what I do because I care about myself. You know, I believe in who I am. And so believe in who you are. You show up in all of these areas. When you are fun, infuse your, some people won't take a vacation. Take you a vacation. I just spoke with someone, he was just saying last year out of 10 years he had, maybe oftentimes these things come from my child. And I think because we took family vacations every year, going on vacation for me was not, but I had to pull myself back and discipline myself and say, wait a minute, your bank account not where you want it to be. Chill out. Have fun in some different ways. You don't have to travel to have fun. Be present with yourself. Go take a walk. Go draw. Go color. Listen to some music, dance, do some karaoke. But fun can happen in a lot of different ways. That's one area I never struggled with. If anything, honestly, I had to pull the reins on myself and say, Jeanville, pass and skip that vacation. This is focus time. You know, discipline is the root of all this. This is the grit. And I'm not going to take too much longer here, but grit. This is what really is what, to me, personal development in my life is all about. I believe, especially in our culture, we don't struggle with style, honey. We're going to show up, flyest thing on the scene. Grace is sufficient. We know God's goodness and mercy, the great. But for me, I was missing grit. And I want you to think of grit as the resilience, the groundwork in which you can stand upon when life hits us. So oftentimes I'll say this, like when life, we go through challenges, we begin to get on our knees. We begin to, for me, I was on my knees, like, God, help me, give me this, no, get up, do the work, and have the abundance that you want in your life. And when I looked at my life as this abundant piece, me in the middle, I can choose to do things daily that align with who I want to be. Then I felt, as I say, holy, WHOLLY, no longer focusing on HOLY, holy, because for me, holiness was a way, and that worked, but it didn't encompass all of this. I didn't want to be wealthy and overweight. I didn't want to eat healthy and feel deprived. I didn't want to work out, but then can go home and eat what I want to use. I wanted to be like well. I wanted to be well. And so this is what this means to me. When I talk about the F-bombs, I mean using your life, the core of who you are, showing up who you are. But I believe the more that we do this is how our character is developed. Because I love that image where the chisel, you chisel away the things that no longer serve you. You chisel away the self-doubt. You chisel away the fear. And that is through the grit. So when we're chiseling away and making new patterns and doing new things and creating behaviors that allow who we are, then we can live, I believe, life in style and grace, in true style and grace. Because style is truly your identity. It goes beyond how we look. You become who you are by doing the things I believe that you don't want to do, which is the discipline piece. So I hope this helped you. I just wanted to share with you a little more in depth of who I am and what I speak about when I talk about F-bombs. This is not cliche. This is not something fun, I know, but this is the truth of F-bombs: family, finance, food, fitness, fashion, and fun. Live in a space of style and grace. Do the work, the gritty things, the things that require your discipline every day, because it will allow you to be exactly who you're created to be. Created, never duplicated. And if you like this video, please subscribe, share this. I want to do this thing together. Live intentionally full every day. That's what life is to me, that acronym. I live intentionally full every day. So like, please share, subscribe if you know any woman, young woman, because I believe I'm in decade 4. I'm still on this journey. I'm right here beside you doing these things, just with different responsibilities, different goals. So I hope to see you here next week.